Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And today we have an esteemed guest in our presence, cricket analyst and host in Pakistan. I've worked with him in the past as well, Ali Gauhar. He's also worked with Peshawar Zalmi. And today we're going to be talking about Pakistan's 5 wins out of 5 in the Super 12 stage. Today they beat Scotland by 72 runs to book their spot in the semi-finals. And New Zealand beat Afghanistan by 8 wickets to also book their spot in the semi-finals. And we're going to cover both games on this volume of
CRIQAZI Diaries.
Have a look at that, miles up, it's nearly taken someone out the stands. That was a flat 6 right under the stand there, the George Giffen stand, up into the members, and it went like a rocket.
Welcome to the show, Ali. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Thank you so much for taking out the time.
I was very happy that you asked me to come on your show. It's an honor because I think you're doing really good work and there is space for young people like us to make an impact. Unfortunately, we have been hindered from time to time, but it's great. I think you're doing fantastic work and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Happy to have you here and really humbled by your words. Okay, let's jump right into it. So Ali, 5 wins out of 5, a Pakistan team, which a few weeks ago, things looked really, really bad. The CEO resigned, Wasim Khan, a new chairman was ushered in Ramiz Raja. And then of course, there were coaching resignations, Misbah and Waqar left. A new coaching team entered the fray. And then also, how can we forget that England and New Zealand, they pulled out of their tours last minute. And the Tiger was very much cornered. I would say Pakistan team had their backs against the wall. And this sort of response, was there ever any doubt?
I don't think this is not the first time that chaos has followed Pakistan into a big tournament, into a World Cup. And the Pakistanis usually respond well when they're under pressure. Chaos, some levels of toxicity even, coaches resigning, players leaving, or asking old players to come back. This is familiar territory. But what isn't familiar territory is Pakistan getting off to a good start. I mean, beating India, which you've never done in a World Cup, and then winning every game after that. It's usually back to the wall sort of stuff. And then you see Pakistan, you see a burst of activity in the final stages of the tournament. So this is unusual, but I'm enjoying it.
Absolutely. Honestly, it is very unprecedented, right? The feeling of being in this position, not having to rely on net run rate or another team winning or losing a game. So yeah, I definitely agree over there. But that point that you brought up, chaos, it definitely breeds perfection, doesn't it, when it comes to Pakistan cricket? And we've seen it before. 2009 T20 World Cup win also came after the Sri Lankan team attacks. And whenever Pakistan team, they find themselves in these adverse conditions, they have a habit of rising above the ashes. And leading from the front, of course, is Babar Azam, Pakistan's captain. He scored 66 of 47 again today, is now the leading run scorer in the tournament. So can you tell me, what do you think about Babar Azam as a cricketer? Of course, we've seen him grow from strength to strength over the years, and now also as a captain. I think both as a leader and as a tactician, he's really matured, and we've seen all of that on display in this T20 World Cup. So what are your thoughts on Pakistan's skipper?
Well, I mean, first is batting. I mean, there's never been any doubt. I mean, he's a class act. I mean, his cover drives as smooth as Chinese silk through the onside. He's equally good. He's beautiful to watch, disciplined, classy. He has so much time. I just mentioned his cover drive, but for me, it's his, I don't know about you, Behram, but I've always been a fan of the late cut. It's just so wonderful to see him play that late cut. That's my favorite shot of his. Mohammad Yusuf used to play it very well, but I think Babar Azam plays it better. So as a batsman across formats, there's never any doubt about his ability and his class. And many argued in the beginning when he was given the captaincy that it would affect his batting. Well, it's affected it positively. He's been doing very, very well. So that's excellent news. And it naturally help his captaincy. If you're doing well with the bat, it'll have a knock-on effect with your captaincy. And we're seeing that. He's still a young captain. He still has a lot to learn. And I don't mean to sound negative here, but obviously victories, because Pakistan are winning, obviously he's looking good as a captain. But that still doesn't mean he's a bad skipper. I think his calmness has come to the fore. His bowling changes, tactics, the way he is on the field, it's working out for him. And a lot of analysts and commentators have said that Babar Azam's calming influence has really helped Pakistan, because Pakistan need a calm leader, right? If you see that the captain's a little bit frenetic and all over the place and his shoulders are drooped and his body language is if he's a bit nervy, then it doesn't help them. So it's good to see Babar Azam growing into this role.
100%. And I definitely agree. There is, of course, room to grow still further. And it's just the standards that he sets for himself, right? He just keeps pushing one step higher, and he just pushes his whole team to follow in his footsteps. You've seen Rizwan, making such a big improvement, playing under Babar, and now Pakistan is a really cohesive unit. Everyone tries to push above their weight. And Babar, of course, is number 1 batsman in white ball cricket across both T20 and ODIs, and number 7 in tests. So you could argue that he is one of the best all-format players in modern day cricket. And I honestly can't think of another player who comes close.
Well, I mean, right now he's going through one hell of a purple patch. There's no doubt about it. You mentioned Mohammad Rizwan. And I said this earlier, that for me, Rizwan's presence at the crease is as important as Babar. I feel Rizwan is hitting the ball so well right now. He's timing it brilliantly. Yes, he looked a little bit frenetic against Namibia and a little bit here today. But when those shots, those flicks through square leg or over square leg, I should say, are Moin Khan-esque, but he's made it his own. I think Rizwan is a very, very important player for Pakistan. He brings energy to the crease, and he's a brilliant keeper as well. This Babar-Rizwan combo has been a godsend. And to think, we had people suggesting that Fakhr should come back as an opener, or Shahil Khan should come in. Ji, humko 6 hitters chahiye. Ji, hamare paas ye dono 6 hitters nahi hai. Agar to masla parega agar 6 hitters nahi hai. Firstly, they are right now the best openers in the game. There's no doubt about that, the best opening combination. And secondly, on these tracks, you need grinders and grafters, right? The wickets are slow and low, and these aren't the kind of tracks where you make 200. So these conditions are ideal for Babar and Rizwan. And it's also good to see Behram that the middle order has gotten a workout. Hafiz batted today. He played a good, bright little innings. Malik was just dynamite. It's so good to see Shoaib Malik scoring quickly, because that's what we needed him to do, and he too is a calming influence on the side. Asif Ali, his heroics against Pakistan, and before that New Zealand. So it's good to see that Pakistan's batting lineup, the top and middle order, have had a workout.
For sure. And you spoke about the Babar Rizwan opening partnership, and there was so much criticism, right? Strike rate super nahi hai, these guys should play faster, and everyone was calling for a change. People wanted Fakhr or Sharjeel even. To think that so many people were saying that, honestly, I'm baffled, and I'm just happy that I was backing this opening pair from the start. And of course, they have 5 partnerships of over 120 innings batting together. That's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous statistic. And also, they're the only batting pair to have scored 3 150 plus run partnerships in T20 international cricket, and they've all been in this year.
They're one of the reasons why Pakistan have made it to the semis.
Yep, they've silenced their critics, that's for sure. And their strike rates are up eventually, even if they start a little bit slow. They just know how to pace their innings, and they're perfect for these sort of wickets, as you mentioned. You also mentioned the middle order. Now, Malik and Hafiz, 2 other players that copped a lot of criticism, right? They're not young enough for T20 cricket, even though their fitness standards are really up. And today, Malik and Hafiz contributed with 85 runs in 37 deliveries. Now, that is power hitting at its finest, and exactly what the doctor ordered. So I think that these two are really, the experience is coming to the fore. It's a calming influence for the whole team, and dressing room presence. I'd say that's a big thing with Malik and Hafiz, because all of these other players, they look up to them. They idolize them. So what's your take on this pair and how Pakistan's middle order is shaping up? Because I think they've got all bases covered, right? Babar, Rizwan are firing. Fakhr hasn't fired with the bat just as yet, but he's a great boundary rider. The running catches that Fakhr Zaman takes, I think, are very, very crucial. And then you've got Malik and Hafiz firing. And Asif Ali, of course, I'll eat my humble pie over here. I've been a big critic of Asif Ali, but he's also come to the party. So I really think Pakistan have all boxes ticked, especially given the fact that Babar has chosen to bat in his last 2 games after winning the toss, which I think is great preparation, because when you go into a semi-final, you can't just rely on the toss.
So absolutely. So it's good that Pakistan have batted first and bowling with the wet ball again. It's important to have that practice. And coming up against Australia, we've never beaten Australia, I think, in a knockout game in a World Cup, if I'm not mistaken. I could go back to 1992, where Pakistan, yes, they had to win, but it wasn't a quarter-final or a semi-final. There weren't any quarterfinals in the World Cup. But anyway, Malik and Hafiz, I also have to eat humble pie, because I thought one of them should be there. And Mohammad Hafiz was my guy, because he was batting well. You saw how well he played in England, and he can bowl. Malik, I thought, was past it. I have to be honest, I didn't think he could play international T20s also, because his record in World Cups His record in World Cups hasn't been very good. So I didn't have much faith in Malik. That was my folly. And a lot of people, I think, felt the same way. Because Malik has this ability to reinvent himself. I mean, to think, Behram, he made his debut, what was it, in 1999?
Yep.
I remember he was an off-spinner, emulated Saqlain Mushtaq, became a batsman in the early 2000s. And he's just kept reinventing himself. Shoaib Malik 2.0, I called him. I remember I interviewed him when I was working for Zalmi. How he just continues to upgrade. And his influence on this team so far has been fantastic. And he's killing it. And on these wickets, he's such a good player of spin. And spin will always be a challenge in the UAE. So I think it came late. But in the end, the right decision was made to take Shoaib Malik. Because a Pakistani team needs experience. They need calm heads in the dressing room. They need guys who have been to battle before, who can handle pressure well. And Malik and Hafiz have done that for years. But most importantly, they're batting well. They fit into this Pakistan side brilliantly. Because I didn't think you could have two of them in T20 cricket in the middle order. But for these conditions, I think it's working perfectly. Asif Ali, you mentioned, look, again, we don't have that many six hitters in Pakistan, but not that many.
Right.
So you're not spoiled for choice. And remember, obviously Misbah and the rest of them before Misbah saw something in Asif Ali. Mm-hmm. He's a very, very talented ball striker. And it's not easy, Behram, coming in at number 6 and number 7 in T20 cricket with 10 balls remaining or 20 balls remaining, asking a guy to make an impact. No, it's a very difficult thing to do. Remember, he lost his daughter as well. So he's going through emotionally a very difficult time. I can't even begin to imagine what he must have been feeling. And another very important point is that when people were saying ke Haider Ali ko bulao instead of Asif Ali, ya Khushdil ko bulao, is Flana, Damkana, Sharjeel, ye wo. But he comes in at number 6, number 5, number 6, like the lower middle order. You need to train for that specifically. Haider Ali usually bats up the order.
Yep.
So he has enough balls to get himself in and get going. Asif Ali, for years, has specifically trained for this role with 10 to 15 balls remaining and to try and make an impact, to hit as many 4s and 6s as possible. You need to train for that. It's different kind of preparation. Being a power hitter up top and a power hitter at the bottom. And it's much harder to do it at the bottom when you just have a few balls remaining. He has been specifically training for this role, and this is what people and analysts don't point out. Mm-hmm. That is a very, very important point. If I ask Chris Gayle, even at his peak, to come in at number 7, he wouldn't be able to do the job. I can promise you that.
Yeah, absolutely. The way Asif Ali sets himself up, sitting deep into the crease, and he hits the fast bowlers for 6, which is his strength. And I just love how Pakistan has maximized all of their players' strengths. T20 cricket matchups are so important in the modern day game. Asif Ali against the fast bowlers. You spoke of Malik coming down to the spinners. And I was making this point even before that, if Pakistan is 30 for 3 versus Afghanistan and Rashid Khan is coming out to bowl, you'd want Shoaib Malik to be there, not Khushdil Shah. But point is that he's been maximizing his ability against the spinners. Asif versus the fast bowlers. Matchups are perfect. And again, the reinvention of Malik and Hafiz as power hitters. I think everything is kind of connecting at the right time for Pakistan, all of the dots. And it looks like a recipe for success. I just hope they haven't peaked at the wrong time here, Ali.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Behram. I was going to say, because again, this is unfamiliar territory for Pakistan. Have they peaked too early? We saw in 1999, they ran out of steam in the final. Chalo, they lost 3 or 4 games before that against India, South Africa. But have they peaked at the wrong time? Have they peaked too early? Sorry, maybe. I don't know. Let's hope not. But they'll take this momentum with them against the Australians. Let's hope that they do. We've been talking about Pakistan's batting. The bowlers, both Shaheen and Hassan need to work on their no balls. Yes, it hasn't hurt Pakistan yet. But in crucial situations, when you're up against the likes of Warner, Finch, Marsh, Maxwell, Smith, you never know, right? So they need to sort out that no ball problem. Other than that, I think they're working very well as a bowling unit. I'm so happy to see Shadab bowling well. There's been a lot of talk about Shaheen because, of course, he's a beautiful, beautiful bowler. And Haris Rauf in his pace. But Shadab has been, because he was out of form. And I didn't have much faith in Shadab going into this World Cup. And I was thinking that, look, Usman Qadir is a no-brainer. You need Usman Qadir because for me, he's a fantastic, much improved leg spinner and a wicket taker. I felt Shadab was concentrating too much on his batting, and that was hindering his progress as a bowler. But I think he's really defined his role in this World Cup. I think the management, or maybe he's made a conscious decision himself to just focus on his bowling. His batting is a bonus. And again, he was brilliant tonight.
Yep.
He's been bowling very, very well. Shadab's form, his good form with the ball, has helped Pakistan tremendously. And he's dynamite in the field. Imad Wasim, miserly as ever. Again, not in the best of form before the World Cup, but in the UAE, his record speaks for itself. You had to bring Imad Wasim into this side, into the squad. There was never any doubt about it. I mean, he may have a haircut that looks like Pebbles Flintstone, but you know what? He's doing the job with the ball. And this is a very well-balanced bowling unit. Hassan Ali still struggling a little bit. His rhythm isn't quite there, but he's a match winner. Yep. And you can't leave out Hassan Ali. So going forward, going into the semi-finals, Pakistan should be confident. Yes, it's not going to be easy against the Australians. We all know that the Australians have this ability, especially under pressure, to perform at the highest level. So let's see what happens. Let's just hope for an interesting matchup, for an interesting game.
Absolutely. And you brought up a lot of good points over there. I also agree that an in-form Shadab Khan is amazing for Pakistan cricket, because then those 4 overs are actually attacking 4 overs. And then he was brilliant today as well. 2 wickets for 14 runs in 4 overs. Those are phenomenal figures. And Pakistan's entire bowling attack, it's so diverse. You've got a world-class left-arm seamer in Shaheen Afridi. Then you've got an express right-arm pacer in Haris Rauf. Hassan Ali, of course, we all know he's a champion bowler, even if his form's been up and down. We all know what he did in the Champions Trophy 2017. So another right arm seamer over there. And then in the spinners, you've got a right arm leggy. You've got a left arm orthodox off spinner. And then you've also got Mohammad Hafiz, a luxury option really. 6th bowler, gets left-handers out at will, and a right arm off spinner. So I think all of the bases are covered in this bowling attack. You've got every kind of bowler really. And I think that is what's going to trouble Australia the most in this semi-final. Pakistan's bowling is what they'll have to really nullify if they are to stand a chance.
So again, right, similar to what Pakistan did against India, Shaheen Afridi will be crucial. He'll probably bowl the first over, try and get Aaron Finch and David Warner with quick full deliveries. And Warner is slowly coming into his own, as is Aaron Finch. So it's very important for Pakistan to make an early impact like they did against India. I wouldn't be surprised if they open the bowling with Hafiz, because David Warner is a left-hander. Right. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. So again, if Pakistan bowl first, they need to follow that formula, the same formula that they did against India and New Zealand. Keep taking wickets at regular intervals, strike up top, and restrict them to 130, 140. Okay, fine, 150. Pakistan are batting well. If they bat first, in Dubai, if they make 150, even 150, 160 for Pakistan is a winning score. Behram, your memory is better than mine. When New Zealand used to come to Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and the Australians, I think Pakistan have defended 150, 160 quite a few times.
Quite a few times. That was the template for Pakistan all those years.
Yeah, if I remember correctly. So they'll be confident batting first, and even if they get 160, we have the resources to contain the Australians.
Right. Yeah, 100%. And I also think that 160, 170 would be a safe score if they do bat first. But you mentioned the top order. Australia's top order is in form. David Warner, a lot of criticism prior to the T20 World Cup. Of course, he had a horrible run of form with the Sunrisers Hyderabad, got dropped. And then you have Aaron Finch, the captain. He's in a lot of form. And Mitchell Marsh. This is a guy who we don't speak about a lot since he hasn't been like a major name in Australian cricket. But in these past few series where Australia have been sending their B teams to Bangladesh and West Indies, it's been Mitchell Marsh who's been their batting mainstay. So I think those 3 wickets up top, of course, as you alluded to earlier as well, quick wickets would definitely be the recipe to success.
Yeah, well, Shane Warne has been harping on about Mitch Marsh for the longest time. He's like, Marsh should be batting at number 3. It's an outrider. And he's right. And Marsh is also, remember, he's a very good player against spin. And he should be talked about. He's a danger man. And Pakistan will have to figure out a way to remove him. It's not going to be easy. And when it comes to Australia's bowling, Stark may not be in the best of form, but he's always a threat. It'll be interesting to see Shaheen and Stark Obviously comparisons are made, but right now Shaheen is in the form of his life. Hazelwood is hitting that difficult length, the length that you're meant to bowl in Dubai, Abu Dhabi and Sharjah, that nagging length. And we saw him doing that against the West Indies. I think he went for 19 runs in the first over and then came back. Second, third over, he picked up wickets because he was testing the middle of the wicket. So Hazelwood will be very dangerous. So Babar and Rizwan have to be at their best. And then arguably the best bowler in the world, Pat Cummins. Again, hits the deck hard, very difficult to get underneath. He's got a fantastic Yorker, brilliant slower ball. Adam Zampa, a very underrated leg spinner.
Great.
Pakistan do struggle against spin from time to time. So thank God Hafiz and Malik are there. If anything goes wrong, maybe they can handle Adam Zampa. This is a dangerous Australian side. Like I'm going through the names and
we haven't even mentioned Steve Smith and Glenn Maxwell because they haven't even come out to bat yet much.
Maxwell's a match winner. Shane Warne is not for Stephen Smith in T20 cricket, but I disagree. I think Stephen Smith is one of the most versatile players in the world. So they've got some serious talent in their squad. Yes, they didn't do well against England. But England are a very good team and you have to lose sometime. I think, again, Australia under pressure in a knockout game. I'm going to say something very unpopular here. That's the only reason why I think they have a slight edge over Pakistan. The conditions are in our favor. We've won 5 out of 5. I understand that. But I just feel like Australian teams under pressure over the years, watching cricket over the years, they tend to bring their best when they're cornered. You talk about Imran's cornered tigers. Well, Australia have got their cornered koalas or kangaroos, whatever. They're tougher than they look, koalas. So I think it'll be interesting, but Australia under pressure are a very dangerous side, Behram.
Yeah, they're always known to be tougher than nails, and Australia, they seem to be peaking just at the right time. You mentioned their bowling attack. Of course, it's world class, arguably one of the better ones in this tournament. Mitchell Starc, he's not been the same bowler that we've gotten so accustomed to over the years, but we've seen glimpses of brilliance in this T20 World Cup. I agree that Adam Zampa is arguably one of the best bowlers on show in this T20 World Cup, maybe alongside Hasaranga. And, Zampa, he's very, very underrated. You mentioned that as well. And he's doing the job for Australia as their lone spinner because they rely on overs from Maxwell and Marsh and those guys to fill up the fifth bowler. So, I think that add to that Josh Hazelwood, great IPL for him. And now he's also proving to be quite a menace in this T20 World Cup. And Pat Cummins, we haven't even seen the best of him yet. So I can't even spot any holes in this Australian team, honestly. The balance looks so good and they have that ruthless aggression and also a very rich cricketing heritage, of course. They've won pretty much everything other than the T20 World Cup. This is the only ICC trophy that they haven't managed to win. So they'll have that motivation spurring them on.
You don't need much to spur the Aussies on. Look, I'm not trying to say that they're unbeatable. They're not. England flashed them. They got a few things wrong in that game. I think Maxwell batted a little higher than usual, which again was a mistake. Yeah, maybe they're peaking at the right time. And they have a very good bowling unit and a bowling unit for these conditions like Pakistan, which is why it'll be a very good game of cricket. But when you look at Pakistan, you could say the same about Pakistan. They're playing almost flawless cricket at the moment. Yes, there are a few issues here and there, but which team doesn't? And with Mary Hayden in the dressing room or in the dugout, he might be able to pass on a few things to the Pakistanis.
Yeah, Haydos has been brilliant thus far, and you just love to see all of that heartwarming stuff on the PCB media channel on YouTube. But Australia, I wouldn't say they have a slight edge just because Pakistan have the advantage of playing conditions. But I think this game is really 50-50. And of course, the Aussies are a very, very tough opponent, extremely sturdy always. And in knockout cricket, of course, they've been brilliant. So yeah, I'd say 50-50. But honestly, I'm just going to knock on wood or something. And I hope Pakistan can pull through because it's going to be very, very anticlimactic if they don't make it to the final.
Behram, I just want to stress something before we end this podcast. And I said this before the India game. Even if Pakistan lose, the media, of course, have been very kind because Pakistan have been winning. I stress that we have played some very good cricket and we must be respectful.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, it's just a game. Pakistan have played so well. I'm not trying to sound like I have a defeatist attitude, but because I've been in the media for a while, I've seen how people react when Pakistan lose. And And it's been, it's not good. It's just not nice at all. So, and it hasn't helped Pakistan cricket. I think Pakistan have superseded expectations. They played fantastically well. They smashed India. They beat New Zealand. And we all want them to win the World Cup. They are now, many are arguing favorites. But even if they don't go the whole way, let's support our team. And when they come back home, let's welcome them. Let's welcome them. Let's embrace them. Let's encourage them. Because they have a very, very bright future.
100% agreed. I echo your sentiments word for word. I think every member of this team should really be celebrated, especially with the way they've conducted themselves at the World Cup. When you look at the media, there's all kinds of trash happening here and there, but look at this team and they've conducted themselves to perfection. They've really shown the world how aware they are, not coming up with any controversial statements or anything. So I'm super proud of this team, and regardless of the result.
Ramesh Raja said, take your aggression out on the ground, and they did against the Kiwis, against the Indians.
Yeah.
Just the way England didn't cancel the tour. It was so disrespectful. It was so disappointing. It was so poor. And I'm glad the chairman resigned. And so Pakistan are once again showing that you can't ignore them. You shouldn't ignore them. The world of cricket will be poorer without Pakistan.
Yep.
I mean, here's some kid from KP, the middle of nowhere, bowling out Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul in a World Cup, taking wickets across formats. Haris Rao, who played tape ball cricket, and then now is one of the fastest bowlers in the world and one of the most skillful right now. Hassan Ali, again, from humble beginnings. I mean, these are fantastic stories, Behram.
Absolutely.
The talent in this country is unbelievable.
They're also building a pipeline. You see the domestic structure being revamped. Ramesh Raja, of course, I think he's a brilliant addition in the PCB hierarchy. And, as they say, you can take cricket out of Pakistan, but you can't take Pakistan out of cricket. And that's exactly what they've shown. Just on a quick note, I want to end this call. Just want to talk a little bit about Afghanistan and New Zealand before we do. And, well, New Zealand blew away the Afghanistani batters, and it was just Najib. He scored 73 or 48. And if not for that innings, Afghanistan wouldn't even have managed 124. New Zealand reassured the world just how good a team they are. Trent Bolt and Tim Southee leading the way, the senior pros. Bolt taking 3 for 17, Southee taking 2 for 24. They've been brilliant all tournament. They've got Sodhi and Santner as support. Very, very well-rounded team. Top order coming into form. Of course, we've seen runs from Guptill. Daryl Mitchell has been a very, very good experiment. And then, of course, Kane, Williamson, and Devon Conway. They finished the game today unbeaten. I think Kane was on 40 and Devon Conway was on 36. And I think that top four, coupled with their bowling attack, they've got a chance to beat England over here. What do you say?
Oh, absolutely. New Zealand, they've got some fabulous players and they've been playing really good cricket. Look, there was never a matchup. I understand people going on Afghanistan, the dark horses. Yes, sure, they've got some fabulous players. Rashid Khan is arguably the best T20 bowler in the world. Their batting has improved. But you couldn't really, you can't really suggest that they'd beat big teams regularly. Not right now. They're still an inexperienced side. So even against Pakistan, when they had Pakistan for a bit and they could have put the pressure on, they faltered at the very end because they don't have the experience to close matches, to win matches. And up against a clinical, dynamic New Zealand side, you couldn't expect them to win. But they gave their best, and New Zealand were very good. And they could beat England, because I saw England against South Africa. South Africa were peaking at the right time, by the way. So good for us that they're out, because I thought they were playing some brilliant cricket, especially Van der Dussen. But I think New Zealand, of course, can beat England. Why can't they? And the 2019 World Cup final was not that long ago. And they'll want to take some form of revenge. Not that Williamson could. I don't think revenge is ever on Williamson's mind. I mean, he couldn't kill a fly. The only thing he killed are kookaburra balls. So.
I mean, definitely there's a score to settle over there, and Kane Williamson will have that on his mind. And New Zealand is such a professional outfit, the way they carry themselves, the spirit in which they play their cricket. I've always been a fan of their cricket, and I think they've got a very, very sturdy team over here. Even without Ross Taylor, they look so threatening. And I think that, they've beaten Afghanistan and India. And Afghanistan too, like you mentioned, it was never really a matchup, but I would say that on spin-conducive wickets, Rashid Khan and Mujib are those sort of spinners who could win you a game single-handedly. That, of course, didn't happen over here because there wasn't much of a score to defend. But I would say New Zealand do have an outside chance of winning this World Cup, because if you look at their last 6 years, 50 over World Cup final in 2015, then you've got a semi-final in 2016 in the T20 World World Cup. 2019 50 over World Cup final, we all remember how that ended, and reigning champions in the World Test Championship. So
they've got
this
an
is
excellent chance, Param. I think they have an excellent chance, not just an outside chance, because again, their combination, their team, they've got the right players for these conditions as well. Ishodi's bowling beautifully. Mitch Satner's bowling beautifully. And then they've got Bolt, they've got Saudi. I mean, these are very, very good players.
Imagine how threatening they would be had Lockie Ferguson not gotten injured. That would have been something.
But Adam Miller is also a really good bowler. I agree. Lockie Ferguson is fantastic. I talked to Imam Ul Haq once and he said he's the fastest bowler he's ever faced. He regularly bowls at 150 clicks. He's scary. And again, he hit that length that he hits. He's very difficult to get underneath. So, I mean, even without Lockie Ferguson, they're a fantastic unit. And that'll also be a very, very good match.
Yep, and now Jason Roy is out with an injury, so England are a bit depleted. So before I end this episode, Ali, I want to take your quick prediction for the final. I'm going to go with Pakistan, New Zealand. What about you?
I'm going to say New Zealand, Australia.
Oh, so the double bluff, is it? You're trying to jinx it.
No, I'm not. Like, again, it hurts to say it. Pakistan have an excellent chance, and I so want to be wrong. I really, really hope I'm wrong. And I probably will be, because these conditions and the way Pakistan's playing, they've been superb. But again, it's just because we've grown up watching Australia, Behram.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I'll remember that prediction, but...
Remember, I hope I'm wrong. I want you to remember that bit.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for making it to the show, Ali. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for taking out the time. And I hope you enjoyed yourself as well.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. I hope I can come on again and we can talk more.
Yep. Thank you so much. And that's a wrap for Volume 75, folks. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, like it, share it, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell icon in order to be notified about all of my latest videos. That's all for now. Kazi off the mic.
Have a look at that. Miles up. Oh, it's nearly taken someone out of the stands. That was a flat six right under the stand there, the George Giffen stand, up into the members, and it went like a